Now, while COVID-19 pandemic is primarily a health emergency, its socioeconomic impact cannot be underestimated. Government took measures to halt further spread of the virus, but the pandemic still had alarming impact on the economy and the livelihood of people, most importantly or mostly the vulnerable. International NGO World Vision Ghana has conducted a number of studies into this in this regard, and today we focus on agriculture and food security in the COVID-19 pandemic era. Joining me via Zoom is Maxwell Amedi, Food Security and Reliance Technical Programs Manager of World Visions. Thanks so much for your time this evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening to your cherished viewers. It's a pleasure to be on the show this evening.
Great. So your study indicates that the agri sector has been adversely affected by the pandemic. How bad is this?
Okay. I must say that the study was actually conducted to assess the impact that COVID had on the agriculture value chain. Talking about agriculture value chain, we are not only looking at only crops, but we are also looking at the livestock sector. Let me cite an example, for instance, taking the livestock sector, for instance. You could see that if you take, let's say, poultry, most of the birds, the eggs that are produced, they normally supply to hotels, restaurants, and schools, and people even do exports. But, in this COVID era, we have really been hit and been affected. You can't tell the bird not to lay eggs. And the people who normally take huge volumes of these eggs, to actually consume or to use, they have closed down workshops and conferences, they have been banned on all those things. So, and therefore, the demand has gone down. And all those things has really affected the livestock sector. Coming down to the crop sector, for instance, you could see that the movement of commodities within country has really been up, especially during the lockdown period. You could see that a lot of places where we have commodities and areas that are commodities are needed, instead of us moving them to places that are needed because of those restrictions, there were issues here and there. And currently, border closures and all other issues, has really affected the crop sector. Taking, for instance, somebody that is into, let's say, vegetable export. With all these restrictions here and there, you can imagine how that vegetable exporter would actually be coping with these situations in this era, in the, what you call it, COVID-19 era.
Right.
So just to answer your question, just to say that there are different levels of impact depending on the sector and also the actor within the value chain.
All right, so you talked about critical cash flow challenges. Explain further, because we know government announced some package for farmers during the period. So exactly what is the issue? Okay,
so I must admit that even though government has done some interventions in terms of helping these people that we are talking about, let me talk about the provision of water and light for all citizens, and also talking about the COVID-19 alleviation program, which is being handled by National Board for Small Scale Industry. But there is a gap in there. That is the fact that farmers and the fisher folks and these people that we are talking about, most of them have not been reached. But we are looking at an inclusive social protection, intervention that will include all this category of people for them to actually benefit from this. So even though there has been something done by the government, we think that at this point there is something more that we can do to help these people to bounce back to normal.
But how has the changes in demand and supply affected the sector?
Okay. The changes in demand of goods and services, I think I started by even talking about citing an example of egg, maize, and other commodities that a lot of people who deal in these commodities normally supply to schools, hotels, and restaurants. And you and I know that all those institutions or restaurants and schools, are not functioning. And so the demands that they used to pick from farmers and all people that deal in those commodities, because the workshops are not coming on, the restaurants are not functioning, it becomes very difficult for huge volumes of these commodities to really be picked. There's a lot of uncertainty in the system, and therefore the demand and supply, from both ends have really been affected as a result of COVID.
Right. But most importantly, one wants to know how you intend to address, or the way to address possible issues of insecurity, because your finding probably will have some solutions to the problem.
Okay. Just to reiterate or re-emphasize, I think the first point that I made about inclusive social protection intervention, talking about the packages that the government has really given small and medium scale industries. Some group of people have actually been left out of the scene, and there is a need for us to really look at what is it that government can do to be able to support them, for instance, smallholder farmers. If for instance, even some of them are actually even producing again, is there a possibility that government can come in to even purchase their products, and also again those who will still even go into production? Is there a way of going further to subsidize the inputs that they are using in production? Going beyond that, I think again there is a need for us to support the farmers technically to be able to increase their yields, and also there's a need for us to also work on our post-harvest losses, because this country, we have a lot of post-harvest losses.
Right.
Another key thing I think we can do also again is that we need to diversification of our income and livelihood opportunities, because as you can see, the impact, having so much impact or toll on certain sectors as compared to others. We need to
Maxwell, unfortunately, we are running out of time. Maxwell Amedi is the Food Security and Resilience Technical Program Manager of World Vision. I want to say a big thank you, but let's